Hello Star Wars fans, and welcome to episode 77 of Journey into Legends. Today we'll be reading Star Wars Union and Star Wars Tales issue number 2. Star Wars Union is a 4-part comic written by Michael Stackpole and released from 1999 to 2000, and features the wedding of Luke and Mara Jade. And I'm really excited for this comic. I don't really know what to expect other than the wedding itself, but I'm excited to finally see these two get married. Without further ado, let's read and review. Alright, so I just finished reading Star Wars Union, and overall, although this wasn't a masterpiece by any means, I thought it was a really fun celebration of not just Luke and Mara, but also all of these characters. There are so many characters brought back from all of the novels, and it was great to see characters like Talon Karrde, Corran Horn, Booster Terrik, Cam Solusar all come together to celebrate the wedding. The only thing I wasn't too fond of was the villains. I didn't find any of them interesting or memorable, and their inclusion felt unnecessary. Like, because it's Star Wars, there has to be some central conflict or villain, and it just kind of felt out of place. However, one of them was an ex-Royal Guard, which was pretty cool. But anyways, this was a pretty fun little story with some decent art, and I enjoyed it. Alright, next we have Tales issue number 2, which has 4 stories in total, starting with Routine, which follows an Imperial captain as he stops and inspects a Corellian cruiser piloted by none other than Han Solo and Chewbacca. After inspecting the ship and finding nothing, he lets Han go, but later on he runs into Han again and launches a more thorough inspection, and again finds nothing. Eventually he realizes that Han isn't actually smuggling cargo, he's smuggling ships. But before he can make the arrest, Han escapes. Overall, this was a pretty fun story. It was very short, which I appreciated. I also really enjoyed the art as well as getting another fun little story about Han and Chewie before A New Hope. Next we have Extinction Part 2. Continuing where we left off last time, Vader has now engaged the Dark Woman in combat. And that's pretty much all this story is. There is some fantastic action in this story, as well as some great art. I also really loved this depiction of Vader. He is just so badass in combat. Anyways, this was a great story overall. Let's move on to Stop That Jawa, which follows the Max Rebo band as their van and instruments are stolen by Jawas, and they're pursued by a bounty hunter. When they catch up to the Jawas, the bounty hunter shows up and scares the Jawas into giving the band their van and instruments back, and then it's revealed that the bounty hunter is in fact no bounty hunter at all. He's actually Max Rebo's biggest fan and has been following them to ask for an audition. Overall, this was a really silly, ridiculous story that is obviously meant to be comedic. This one, unlike Skippy the Jedi Droid, however, could technically be canon, but I don't really think it is. Either way, I'm just not a huge fan of this type of story. I enjoy some good comedy in Star Wars, but it's possible to make a story comedic while also still trying to tell a good story. Anyways, let's move on to our last story, Incident at Horn Station, which follows a rock miner who docks at Horn Station for repairs and gets caught up in a bar fight that ends with a blaster duel that he wins non-lethally. Due to his speed, he's brought to the ruler of Horn Station named Shoto, who he quickly dispatches. Then he reveals himself as a Jedi and frees Horn Station from Shoto. Overall, this was a pretty fun little story. It doesn't add anything to the continuity, it doesn't really have a purpose, but it was decently fun nonetheless. And that was Star Wars Tales issue number 2, and overall I enjoyed this issue a lot more than issue 1, mainly because instead of just having one standout story, it had 3 pretty good to great ones, and only one stinker. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next review, where we will be finally starting the new Jedi Order series with Vector Prime. See ya.